What's going on, y'all? This is Biblical DNA here, and we are live. What's going on, y'all? This is Biblical DNA. And today, the topic is do all languages really come from the Tower of Babel, also known as Babylon? All right. So, the first thing I have are some books to discuss exactly how like Babel is Babylon. So, in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verses 1 through 24, or 11, 24. So we have for the first Babel right here in verse 9 is Babylon. Babylon. All right. So B, we see confounded, found, play on Babel. So let's go ahead and read all this. So the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verses 1 through 24, 11. Everyone on earth had the same language and the same words. And as they migrated from the east, they came up on a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them hard." Bricks served them as stone, and bitumen served them as mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower with its top in the sky, to make a name for ourselves, else we shall be scattered all over the world." Yahweh came down to look at the city and tower that man had built. And the Lord Yahweh said, "If as one people with one language for all, this is how they have begun to act, then nothing that they may propose to do will be out of their reach. Let us then go down and confound their speech there, so that they shall not understand one another's speech." Thus Yahweh scattered them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there Yahweh confounded the speech of the whole earth, and from there the Lord Yahweh scattered them over the face of the whole earth. So first things first is we got to understand that this is just a myth, right? And this is just Hebrew myths, and we got to know when exactly this occurred. So the Tower of Babel happened in 2200 BC. So if you want to, you can do the BC calculator as I showed y'all, or you can just calculate it. So we know we're living in 2022, right? So just add 2200 to that. So that'll be 4,222 years ago. All right, that's the chronology. So that's when that Tower of Babel, Nimrod, what happened. All right, and the scattering would have took place somewhere around that time. All right, so a few books you can go to. It's the Hebrew Myths, the Book of Genesis by Robert Graves and Raphael Patai. Another one, Tree of Souls, the Mythology of Judaism by Howard Schwartz. St. Louis Howard Schwartz, professor of English, University of Missouri. And another one is the Oxford Guide to People and Places of the Bible in 2004. All right. So we're gonna go into this Bayesian phylogenetic analyst of Semitic languages, identifies an early Bronze Age origin of Semitic in the Near East. There was a paper published yesterday on science.org, which we're going to get into. It's a genetic probe into the ancient, let's go ahead to it. A genetic probe into the ancient and medieval history of Southern Europe and Western Asia. And the other one is, get to the top. The genetic history of the Southern Arc, a bridge between West Asia and Europe. All right. So in this first one, this Bayesian, which I've already covered a few times, they estimate that that Semitic has an early Bronze Age origin, which is approximately 5,750 years ago in the Levant. Now, where they get this from is supposedly the language was being spoken in northeast Levant, so that would be Syria. You have the, what is it, the Abilite. Let me go to it real quick. You have the Abilite, and then the first Semitic language being Akkadian, and then the sister groups would be Assyrian and Babylonian from the east, and then from the west you have Central Semitic. From there you get the old South Arabian languages, Arabic, Northwest Semitic. That's your Canaanite, Ugaritic, Phoenician, Hebrew, and then we get the Ethiopians from the people from the old South Arabian, so the J1 markers that entered the Horn of Africa, and they started speaking Semitic languages in Gaz, Tigrinya, or Amharic, and Garage. And modern South Arabian languages comes from this branch also. All right. All right, so back to this Bayesian phylogenetic analysis of Semitic languages identifies an early age origin. The problem with this paper, which I've stated many times, is literally they're just guessing. And when you take this serious, which obviously papers are citing this as a source, so they're taking this literally, like the time span of when it occurred. But as we scroll down, we see that there's no proof. They're lacking evidence because they were pastoralists in nature, so they didn't really keep proof of written languages, right? And that goes into the Sumerians. The Sumerians were the first to have a so-called written language, right? So let me go ahead and read this real quick. Lacking closely related non-Semitic languages to serve as outgroups in our phylogeny, we cannot estimate when or where the ancestor of all Semitic languages diverged from Afro-Asiatic. Furthermore, it is likely that some early Semitic languages became extinct and left no record of their existence. This is especially probable if early Semitic societies were pastoralists in nature. Blanch 2006. A pastoralists are less likely to leave epigraphic and archaeological evidence of their languages. That's, to me, that sounds absurd, because if they were trading or anything like that, of course they would have evidence of trading proof, like trading for goods, right? So if they're farmers, if they're pastoralists, how did they change for other goods? So to me, they would have proof. But let's go ahead and read on. The discovery of such early Semitic languages could increase estimates of the age of Semitic and alter its geographical origin if these early Semitic languages were found in Africa rather than the Middle East. So we know that Semitic languages weren't found in Africa early on, and that Akkadian was the original Semitic language that we have record of. So that's the first proof of a Semitic language. So I don't understand why go into a narrative that a Semitic might be older and it might come from a branch of Northeast Africa when I have a book, um not a book but like an article. It's written by, one second, it's written by D.D. Lockenbill. It's called The Akkadian Origins, and he tries to argue his hypothesis compared to other authors and what they believe, right? So he tries to get into how Semitic languages affected Egyptian and became like a Semitic language. Egyptian became a Semitic language. And somehow these invaders of the Nile Delta would have came a long time ago before they had invaded Babylon. But let's continue reading this. Our estimate for the origin of Semitic 4400 to 7400 years before present, which once again is a hypothesis because those numbers are absolutely ridiculous. And let's not forget, the whole concept of Shem is the biblical Shem. So if you're gonna use Shem, like these linguistics or linguists did, yeah, let's go back based off of the biblical chronology, what we have for timelines, not just what you want to believe happened at what time. Predates the first Akkadian inscriptions in the archaeological record of northern Mesopotamia by approximately 100 to 3,000 years. Braceletti, 1997. The city-states of Sumer were established and flourishing in Mesopotamia with their own indigenous languages unrelated to Semitic by approximately 5,400 years before present. That's Lloyd, 1984. So it is unlikely that Akkadian was spoken in Sumer for the entirety of the possible 3,000-year interval between the origin of Semitic and Akkadian's initial appearance in the archaeological record. Furthermore, no Abelite word lists were available for our study. The closest relative of Akkadian and the only other member of East Semitic was spoken in the Levant, especially the Northeast Levant or present-day Syria, Gordon, 1997, which is also where some of the oldest West Semitic languages were spoken. Ugaritic, Ugaritic, Aramaic, and Ancient Hebrew. So I should have done that earlier. Sorry, y'all. I need to start getting into the habit of doing that. All right. So as you can see, like they have no idea, and it's crazy that they're still going based off of this article when this article really doesn't know. They're claiming that, oh well, they were pastoralists. They didn't keep archaeological evidence. They didn't keep any proof. Then what are you going based off of? A hunch? And I mean, for some reason, they want to use the Semitic language like, oh, Semitic this, Semitic that, Cushitic this, Cushitic that. When we know, if you watch my Will the Real Cushites Please Stand Up, you will know that the word Cushitic has nothing to do with the biblical Cush. As far as the Semitic is based off of Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic, which majority of Semitic speakers speak to this day. And you also see we have the Ethiopian Semitic languages also, which genetics prove that they originally came from the Arabian Peninsula. So, all right, let's get to this article. There was an important little piece that I'd like to share on this one, showing proof that Haplogroup J1, page 58, was definitely part of the Semitic populations, such as the Assyrians, the Arameans, I mean, it goes on and on and on. I mean, the fact that we have Ishmael and the people that claim to be descendants of Ishmael and their lineages, I mean, they're all belonging to J page 58. But let me go ahead and zoom this in so y'all can see. Finally, a single individual from the late Bronze Age of Assyrian northern Mesopotamia, 1250 BCE, resembled the Urartian Van in individuals and lacking Eastern European hunter-gatherer ancestry, had the highest amount of Levenson autosomal ancestry, 42.8%, 5.3%. So, and had a J-page 58 derived Y chromosome with strong Levantine geographical associations, and may have plausibly been a speaker of a Semitic language, such as those that have been spoken and recorded in the region for most of its history. Archaeology and historical texts have furnished a wealth of information about the political geography of the ancient Near East, and future genetic studies will elucidate changes of population that occurred either due to voluntary migration or forced movements of peoples implemented by state policies. All right. So 100% proof. There's no confusion. If J page 58 had Levantine autosomal ancestry, they sure did. They sure did. They sure did have Levantine autosomal ancestry, and the reason why is because when they did their multiple migration waves, they call it, they started mingling in with the women that were already there, right? So all those people came down from the mountains of Ararat. And by the way, if you didn't catch it, this word right here, urat, that's the same thing as Ararat. And that was in the location of the kingdom of Ararat. That's where the mountains of Ararat comes from in Genesis chapter 8, verse 4. So my previous video, if you haven't watched it, you should watch that. You will find exactly where that location was. And why was Moses, or whoever wrote the book of Genesis chapter 8, why was he talking about the mountains of Ararat and landing on them? All right, next. All right, this one, there's a lot of information. I was shocked at how much stuff they brought up, actually, but we're going to get into this paragraph right here, and I'm going to highlight some stuff. I'm also going to show the individual haplogroups that they showed had what percentage of autosomal. All right, so there we go. Thus, the entire clade of J page 58 is well associated with the Levant region, may have expanded beyond it towards Armenia and Iran by the Bronze Age, and even more broadly, at least in the Mediterranean world, in later periods. The earliest known examples are from Syria and southeast Turkey, consistent with the suggestion reference based on modern variation that the expansion of this haplogroup occurred from northeast Syria, northern Iraq, and eastern Turkey. The Bronze Age distribution of this clade in all Levantine countries, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Jordan, the inferred recent Neolithic to Bronze Age origin of clades within the J page 58 lineage, and the present-day distribution in diverse groups of Semitic speakers, all also combine to support its association with the expansion of Semitic languages. The later has been dated to the early Bronze Age. Here we go. 5,750 years ago by Bayesian linguistic phylogenetics, with a first split of West Semitic from Akkadian and a common ancestor of West Semitic languages 5,400 years ago. All sampled certain J, page 58, chromosomes post-date this period and could thus be associated with this expansion. For those that don't know what post-date means, assign a date later than the actual one. All right. And I wonder why. I wonder why they would post-date it. Is it because they're not going based off of a biblical chronology? Science is trying to dismiss the Bible, or they don't know what they're talking about because they actually haven't studied biblical chronology? I wonder what it is. Wonder what it could be. We caution, however, that the early splits within the Semitic language family were inferred to have transpired within a millennium, and the linguistic affiliation of the ancient individuals is uncertain, although some form of Semitic language is quite plausible, given their time and place. So, an association of J, page 58, with either the Semitic linguistic family as a whole or any of its daughter languages must be clarified by additional ancient DNA study of diverse ancient populations of known or highly likely linguistic affiliation. All right. Let's sneak down here to this Canaanite stuff in Israel. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so this is good information too. It's talking about how they went from Natufian autosomal in the Neolithic times to the pre-pottery Neolithic farmers, then Chalcolithic, and then like Bronze Age and Iron Age. So we know it went from haplogroup E, which is E1, B1, B1, B2, to T1, A1, something like that, and then haplogroup J1, J2. They all came in different migration waves for haplogroup J. All right. All right. See, this is what we're going to look at right here. So this is the Bronze Age, Israel, right? And we're going to see like how much DNA. So this is the Levant pre-pottery Neolithic. This one, the Caucasian hunter-gatherers. So we see that these people were definitely mixed. And what we're going to do, so I'm going to select one of these haplogroups right here. This is a haplogroup right here. Unfortunately, they did not put it as such, but don't worry. We're going to look at it today and we're going to figure it out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type this one out. This I, come on. This I10359. All right. We got haplogroup open up already. Bam. So this haplogroup is R1b. So R-L23 with maternal haplogroup of J1D1A1. Right? So this individual was in Tel Megiddo. Let's see, y'all. All right, so he had 22% Caucasian hunter-gatherer. This one's European hunter-gatherer. So it looks like it's saying 0. All right. Levant, pre-pottery Neolithic. This the same individual, y'all. 46%. He was haplogroup R1b. 46%. Ain't that something? All right, you can do the same thing for all the other haplogroups. These are haplogroups. You just have to get these the sample ID number and just run it. Let's do this one real quick. So that's I10770. All right, so this one belongs to J1A, J-Z1865, with a maternal haplogroup of T2C1. All right, let's see this individual real quick. All right, this individual had Caucasian hunter-gatherer, had 44% of autosomia of Caucasian hunter-gatherer. His Levant pre-pottery Neolithic, he had 41% autosomia. Crazy, man. Combination of no Anatolian ancestry, but 17% European or Eastern hunter-gatherer ancestry points to origins in the Caucasus. So this individual was 10-100. So that haplogroup is a female, and her maternal haplogroup was T2. All right, let me see another one. Iron Age. Here we go. So I'm gonna read this one real quick. We also looked at Iron Age variation. Our results add to the knowledge about the origin of the more European Iron Age Philistine related outliers from Ashkelon. Right? These differ substantially in their Anatolian Neolithic ancestry between 11 to 64%. In the original publication, these were modeled with Israel Chalcolithic, Iron Chalcolithic, and Western Hunter and Gatherer as sources. So let's see. It's talking about this one and this the Philistine. Let's see it. All right, so that's a J1A that was found in Ashkelon. This is that post Ramses the Third. Ah, come on. Let's look at it real quick. Yep. So 066. So he had 34% Caucasian hunter-gatherer. 2 to 5% Eastern hunter-gatherer or European hunter-gatherer. Levant pre-pottery Neolithic had 49%. This is a person found in Ashkelon with 49% of Levant pre-pottery Neolithic DNA. Ain't that something? And what haplogroup did he belong to? J1. J1A. J-L862. Bam. I'm trying to figure out where that which one did that haplogroup R belong to? So his marker, his sample ID is Ash067. 067. Here we go. So this R1B marker that was found in Philistine, he had 22 percent Caucasian hunter gatherer. That's crazy. 6% Eastern hunter gatherer. Levant pre-pottery Neolithic, he had 17%. That's crazy. He was mixed. They were definitely mixed, but still, he still had Levant DNA. All right. Mm-mm-mm. So don't say that they can't be mixed. They definitely could. Definitely could be mixed. All right, let's go to it. All right, so the emergence of Y chromosome haplogroup J1E among Arabic speaking populations. So would that be by Asian paper, right? Let me see if I can pull something up for y'all real quick. All right, it talks about the split from the root of Proto-Semitic separated into Eastern Semitic, Akkadian, Assyrian, Babylonian, and Elbaite, and West Semitic, which I already read to y'all, so y'all can see. Let me zoom this in so y'all can see. That's not a lie. This is what it is. This is the splits, right? So I got papers proving that the people of Elbaite carry 3 out of 6 haplogroup J, page 58. And if you want to, you can easily look this up on Wikipedia. For you that don't like to read, I ain't making this up. You're going to see today. All right. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna pull up the PDF, the Excel if I can get it open properly. And while 4 Middle Bronze Age individuals carrying haplogroup J2A and the J page 58 and West Asian T1A1. One earlier one carried E1, B1, 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 the M123. So that one lineage, you got one sample of E-M123. So it's crazy how these supposedly spread the language of Semitic, but there's only one marker that's found. We don't know who that person is. I have no idea who that is. But you have haplogroup J's there. Let me see if I can open up the spreadsheet real quick for y'all. One second, y'all. Hopefully y'all can see that. Bam. It's open for y'all. All right. So we're going to go down to these ones I'm talking about, and we see what haplogroups they was carrying. You see the majority of them were haplogroup J, J1, J2. All right, this is what is that place? Alaha, Alaha. And these are the 4 J2As he was talking about. Remember, there's one EM123 marker, while there's 3 J1s. So this is right here is J page 58 right here, or supplants. Yep, you see them? Bam, bam. But this one's a different J, J1. And that's the T1 T1A1. All right. Let me go back to the Chrome. Bam. All right, so ain't nobody making that up. It is what it is. Um, where was I? Yeah, nobody's making this up. It is what it is. And I can go to the Amorites too, and you'll see that they was all carrying J1s. So a lot of these people was just related to each other, just like I said. We don't have Akkadian samples yet, and I'm hoping that's the next thing that they do. I really believe archaeologists should make that a priority. I would love to just to volunteer for it just so it can happen. I mean, that's definitely what we're, I think, majority of the people would be waiting for. Um, but it definitely needs to happen, and that's the main one. That'll definitely be a wrap, especially when they say, well, this lineage of Akkadians, you know, had majority of J1, because we'll see that they didn't start off as J1, but when when they started speaking Semitic, we'll see like a slow change of haplogroups. So, and I don't think they're just going to be one haplogroup either. I think there's definitely going to be some R1Bs amongst them, some J1s, J2s possibly even, and E1, B1, 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 B2. So the EM123 and some T's also. So that I'm just saying, y'all, that's what I believe it would happen if they were to do the Akkadians. Um, but yeah, if you read his article thoroughly, you'll see that it's J1 is definitely the pusher of the majority of the Semitic languages. Um, but let's go to this one. The Y chromosome E haplogroups, their distribution and implication to the origin of Afroasiatic languages and pastoralism. So Semitic. Such dates will accommodate um, both the Semitic pastoralism, associated expansion, and the introduction of Bos Taurus to Europe from Northeast Africa or Middle East. That's a citation right there. But this is what I want to look at. The next one coming up. Bam. As suggested by others, this may give clues not only to the origin of E-M123, J-M267, K-M70, but also to the origin of Semitic languages. This is the citations. And of course, there it goes again. Like I told you, that's all they're using is this one. And it's crazy is Andrew Kitchens is actually a UF graduate. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know, he couldn't just talk to somebody that's a biblical scholar there at UF. Like, they have that degree at UF, religious studies. I don't know why he couldn't just get in contact with one person at UF and ask them about timelines and stuff. Because if you're telling me the only physical proof of Akkadian Semitic written language is a certain time, how can you sit there and say, oh, well, 1,000 years before that is when it first started? I don't think so. And I don't want to hear the excuse of they was pastoralists. You know, they didn't keep records. That's bull crap. I don't believe such nonsense. All right. All right. What's the next one? And majority of those the this is where you can find the DNA samples, that Excel spreadsheet that I just showed you. It's the genomic history of Neolithic to Bronze Age Anatolia, Northern Levant, and Southern Caucasus. This is it. Is where you find it. You just go to supplemental information and scroll down till you get to the Y chromosome and mitochondrial DNA haplogroups. Just download that spreadsheet and you'll see it. You see what I'm talking about? All right, so Semitic languages, right? Now we know that the word Semitic or Semite comes from the biblical Shem, right? So who are the Shemites? You know, what were the nations that came out of Shem? You know, Aram is a famous one. The Syrians, obviously. Um, Asher or Assur. The Elamites. Lud. Who else? Ishmael, obviously. Ishmael is like the biggest one because good night. They had a lot of families claiming to be descendants of Ishmael in Saudi Arabia and up to Jordan. So it's pretty much everywhere in the Middle East. They claim to be descendants of Ishmael. Um, who else is there? Anyways, the main point is that the Elamite language, there's no connection between the Elamite language and Semitic. So it's a basically there's no obvious connections with any of the aforementioned families. So this is done. This paper is done by George Starstein on the genetic affiliation of the Elamite language. Yeah, I know it's kind of blurry, y'all, but if you want to, this is a video that I found. And I'll put it in let me see if I can put it in chat. I'll just put it in the comment section when the video is done. But I highly recommend watching this video. Like, he gives a thorough breakdown of how, you know, how everything happened in the land. So I definitely recommend watching this video. It's pretty good. There's right there. The Elamite language has no known relatives. So it's suggested by some linguists think that it's related to the Dravidian man, come on now. The Dravidians um of India, so languages of India. So I'm just saying Elamite is not a Semitic language, but according to the Bible, they're Semitic. So is that has something to do with the Tower of Babel, or were they just completely separated from speaking Semitic languages? Now the only people that I know that's related to the Elamites are the Lurs. That's Lurs. And according to DNA, their majority haplogroup R1b, 1a, 2a, L23. So as crazy as that sounds, that's what it is. The next is J2A, haplogroup J2A. That's found amongst the Lurs, and it's associated with the diffusion of agriculturalists from Neolithic Near East, 8,000, 400,000 BCE. Let me see. I got this one open already. That I did. Can't find it for some reason. I know it's the Iran one. Thought I had it open for y'all already. Yeah, here it goes. Yep. So the ancient migratory events in the Middle East, new clues from the Y chromosome variation of modern Iranians. So if you just type in lures, we want this paragraph right here. All right. Said Lurs are one of the major Iranian ethnic groups inhabiting along the central and southern parts of the Zagros Mountains. Their origin might go back to the time before the migration of Indo-Europeans to Iran, when other groups called the Elamites and the Kassites were living there. The Kassites are said to be the native people of Lorestan, and their language was neither Semitic nor Indo-European and different from the Elamite. All right. So that's talking about the Kassites. So their language isn't Semitic either, nor Indo-European, and it's different from the Elamite. The modern Lurs, like the Kurds, are a mixture of these Aboriginal groups and invading Indo-Iranians, from which it is thought they separated. Until the 20th century, the majority of Lurs were nomadic herders. Recently, the vast majority of the Lurs have settled in urban areas, although a number of nomadic Lur tribes still persist. All right, so let me see if I can find. Yeah. Let me see if I can find her Haplogroups real quick. And so the thing is, it does come out sideways like this, so you have to download the PDF, and you're gonna have to flip it in Adobe. So we're gonna see this right here. So here's the lure. I'm gonna go to the next page. We can see this one's 9.8, 9.8 down there. Let me see. That's EM78. This one down here is J or G2A1. See, I'm sorry, y'all. I figured this is the best way to do this, so I have it downloaded, but just staying on Chrome is so much easier, so I don't have to flip it back and forth. G2A3B asterisk. All right. So these lower populations, let me see. I'm gonna get to the big ones. Here we go. All right, so 23.5. So that's R1B, 1A, 2A. Where's the other one that said it was high too? 9.7. So J2A3H. It's a lot of J's for the lore. It's different variation of J's. All right. Also, if you saw, the Syrians are also on here. The Syrians, and we know that the Syrians are without a doubt belong to Haplogroup J1. I think it's like 50 something percent of the ethno-religious Assyrians are Haplogroup J. It's something like that. It's crazy high. But another haplogroup that's high is also R1B, 1A, 2A asterisk. It's very high amongst Assyrians. And the problem is like Assyrians are like a closed ethno-religious group. So you're not supposed to intermingle with them. Like they're not supposed to allow people to intermingle with them. So I mean, take it, for what it's worth. But that's what they say. Let me see. Let's see if this is better for y'all. It's this one. Yeah, this is so much better. All right, so Y-DNA haplogroup J-N304 has been measured at 55% among Assyrians of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and diaspora, while it has been found at 11% among Assyrians of Iran. So haplogroup T M184, reported as K asterisk, has been measured at 10 or 15.09% among Assyrians in Armenia. So it's crazy that R1B is found at 40% of Syrians in Iran. So, and there's no telling. I mean, these people could be from Armenia originally. I know, was it Ararat, which is Armenia, Ashkenaz, which is the Scythians, and many. They were all battling and whatnot. So there's no telling where these R1Bs. I mean, but it's still shocking how much R1B had adapted the Syrian beliefs and became part of the ethno-religious group. So I would have to do a separate video on that, and when it happened, when the breakdown, like when they closed their ethno-religious group. But as you can see, genetic studies conducted in 2000 and 2008 support Assyrians are genetically distinct from other groups in the Middle East with high endogamy. This indicates that the community has historically been relatively closed owing to their religious and cultural traditions with little intermixture with other groups. So, I mean, the fact that haplogroup J1 is so high amongst the Syrians, I mean, it just shows you like it's not just coincidence that, that the Semitic languages are high in Semitic speaking populations, but when it comes to the Elamites, who are also a Semitic people according to the Bible. The lures do not carry haplogroup J1. They carry J2, but they do not carry J1, and that's very important. They carry EM78. They carry majority. What was it? R1b, but they do not carry J1 like that. And what are the odds? Their ancestors didn't speak a Semitic language. I'm just saying, that's a mic drop. That's all she wrote. Like, why weren't they speaking Semitic languages? And they had haplogroup E amongst them. Significant E1B, 1B, 1A, 1B, for which the lures display the highest frequency in Iran. So, but the Elamites were not Semitic speakers, y'all. Make it make sense for me. Make it make sense. All right. I don't want to do this video too long, but I already brought up in the last video about the Ishmaelites. And these two articles right here, you got to read them together. So this one, since I already have it up, is from 2021. Thousands of Qahtani genomes inform human migration history and improve imputation, or let me see if that's right. Pronounce that correctly. Imputation of Arab holotypes. I want to show something to y'all real quick. All right, right here. This one right here. So look, check this out, y'all. Revealing extensive diversity as well as genetic ancestries representing the main founding Arab genealogical lineages of Qahtani Peninsular Arabs and Adonite General Arabs and West Eurasian Arabs. Let me see it down here. All right, it says the same thing, but check this out. It says the term Arab Bedouin and indigenous Arab were used interchangeably in previous studies. However, we find that in many cases this is inaccurate. Modern gene flow was identified from these ancestors to various European, South Asian, and South American populations, likely reflecting post-Islamic expansion. All right, and these two names right here are very important when it comes to the descendants of Ishmael. All right, so this is the main one I was talking about. It's the genetic structure of nomadic Bedouin from Kuwait. This was done in 2009, and it identifies the two lineages of Bedouins of each of the Adnani and the Qahtani. And if you go all the way down, you'll see exactly where they split off to. So this is where they split off, the family split off to. And if you want this article already highlighted like this, so you see exactly what's important, just ask me for it and I can email it to you. But I did in my previous video. We see that they belong to haplogroup J M267. And we saw the reason why. If you scroll down a little bit more, you're gonna see the reason why there was some EM123 amongst the Awazim. It tells you precisely of why. Talks about slavery. Let's see. The presence of markers M123 and M124 may also suggest that slaves brought before the initiation of Islam and after the passing of the four Khalifa eras, Lewis 1990, have been neutralized within these tribes, perhaps when slavery was abolished. So basically, your slave is going to practice the religion that you practice as the master. You see what I'm saying? That's exactly what happened to these EM 123s and this M124. But let's look up here too. Slavery among the chieftains was a sign of power and wealth. Anza tribes like those of Banu Hillel and Banu Salian are believed to have participated in the conquest of the North Africa in the 11th century CE. Abu Nasser, 1987, possibly leading to the introduction of EM78 chromosomes. Telling you, slavery, these haplogroup J1s, and no doubt about it, they wrote about it in the Bible with Abraham coming into town, having slaves, taking the people in the land and making them slaves. And those slaves had to start practicing circumcision, even though circumcision originally came from the Egyptians anyways. All right. And I think I had something that is important to that. Let me see. Like I said, I don't want to keep this video open too long. Oh, I wanted to show y'all the family tree, yo. This is very important. This family tree. These people know exactly like their lineage, like their genealogy. It's crazy. It's so crazy that they know their genealogy like this. And if you watch my previous video, you would know that they can trace their lineage all the way back to Adam. It's insane. Check this out. According to Arab tradition, the Qahtanites are from South Arabia, unlike the Adnites, who are from the north of Arabia, descended from Ishmael through Adnan, right? And you'll see that these people belong to haplogroup J1, predominantly J1. Check this out. Their lineage from him could be further traced back to up to Adam. The first man on earth, the Islamic prophet Muhammad, belonged to this tribe. And they have the citations for this too. I have it open already, but let me go ahead and open it again. Check this out, y'all. Look at this. Look at this family tree. Come on now. What other people you know could do this? And people say, oh, no, that's fake. The Quraysh aren't from Ishmael. That's fake. No, I don't think so. You're the fake one. These are the real people that claim to be Muslims and from Ishmael and whatnot. And they're related to the so-called Israelites, the Aaron lineage and all this stuff. They're all related to each other. There's no doubt about it. And I guarantee all this stuff goes back to the Amorites and Hittites and whatnot. They're all related to each other, tracing back to this Adam, this Euro-Asian Adam. That's not from our Adam that we come from as human beings, but from their so-called mythical Adam. That's where they came from. But it's insane that they can trace it all the way back to Adam. And like I said, this genealogy, these charts are very important when you're using that the Bedouin one from Kuwait, because you can see these families, and these families are legit. Like, you're gonna see exactly that they match up with with each family name, they match up. But all right, before I end this video, is anyone got any questions in the chat? I don't even know if the chat's even working. Anybody got any questions? If anybody want to jump on real quick, I can log on to Zoom or put my Google phone number up so anybody can call in and ask any questions. This is why we talking. Uratu. Ararat. That's exactly what it was talking about in this right here. So it's not just the Canaanites that show that ancestry coming up from the Caucasus, the southern Caucasus, is also the Assyrians also. So there's no doubt about it. And no, if in case anybody wants to know, no, the Tower of Babel is not where all languages come from. This is one of the books right here, the Hebrew Myths, the Book of Genesis by Robert Graves, Raphael, Patai. The other one's Tree of Souls, the Mythology of Judaism by Howard Schwartz. The Oxford Guide to the People and Places of the Bible. All right, and also have the you can get an understanding of the Jewish Study Bible. This was published in 2004. So it can let you know that Babel is Babylon. And there's no doubt about it. When in biblical chronology of when it happened is 2200, around that time frame. 2200 BC. All right, if nobody has any questions, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed. I know it probably wasn't as like straightforward or like organized as usual, but I just got back from the gym, drank my protein shake, and I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and knock out this video. So just if you like this information that I gave, please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the bell button to be ready to go live with me. If you want to, you can. I don't care. It is what it is. Just be respectful. I'll be respectful to you, and so forth. But yeah, just let me know how this went, and if you have any suggestions, just please let me know. All right, Biblical DNA out.